Hello everyone. Today we'll be having another session of storytelling article. Let's start by introducing ourselves first. My name is Glenn Cesar Ramadhani from the Vocational High School 9 Malang.
Hello, my name is Nala Gazima. I'm Professor Kategori Surabaya.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Valiansyah. I'm from SMN1 Surabaya.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. Now let's start by reading our own blog. I'll start with mine. Okay, let's start with me. Yoki Boronis, who helped survive Japan's sewage industry, by Katie Foster from Asian Front Press in Tokyo. Each year in southern Japan, dozens of people gather at the seafront shrine to honor a British botanist who never visited the country that is credited with revitalizing its crucial seaweed industry. Kathleen J. Baker made groundbreaking discovery about the reproduction of nori seaweed, the crispy dried seeds that encircle sushi rolls, helping kickstart its farming on a commercial scale. Her studies at the University of Manchester allowed Japan to ramp up production in the difficult period after World War II, when small-scale growers were having trouble meeting demand. She carried out her most influential work as an unpaid research fellow, having lost her academic post after marriage because of the university policy at the time against employing women. Although Drew Baker died in 1957, her memory lives on in the city of Yuto in Kumamoto, one of Japan's largest nori. Dozens of people from local fisheries as well as scientists and history buffs gather each April on the leafy grounds of a shrine by the ocean, where stone plate is placed and embossed metal plates of her face. Large Japanese and British flags are raised at the event, where a gentle priest gives thanks to Drew Baker, organizer Shinichi Yamamoto, 56 years old, with AFP. Seaweed producers were happy and grateful for the ability to grow more Norway seaweed in the aftermath of the war, when people were struggling with food shortage. He said, "The crop has been harvested from Japan's coastline for centuries and farmed for 500 years. Apart from its use in sushi, it is also a key ingredient in onigiri rice balls, a staple snack food in Japan, and is used to garnish bowls of ramen and other classic dishes. But the seaweed is notoriously fragile and easily wiped out by typhoon and pollution. In 1949, Drew Baker published a landmark study in the scientific journal Nature about laver, another name for nori. The crop grows off the coast of Wales and is used to produce a traditional dish called laver bread. Up until that point, the life cycle of nori wasn't well known, Yamamoto said. The research gave me insights into how the plant grows into seashells where it produces new spores. Drew Baker made contact with a professor at Kyushu University and sent over an academic paper to him with the question, "Is it Japanese seaweed like this too?" he said. Japanese scientists and nori farmers then began experimenting with using oyster cells to help marine plants thrive. It was a success, said Yamamoto, the son of a seaweed wholesaler who has run the memorial event for 50 years. Now, nori is one of the essential foods of Japan.
Okay, I will reading about the paper. The title is Human Factory Set to Cause Overflow and Burning Mission. Daughters of Geneva, Switzerland, the Human Rights Council is said to debate a contentious draft proposal on religion hatred in the wake of a Quran burning in Sweden, an initiative that has highlighted grief in the United Nations body and challenges practice in human rights protection. In a draft resolution presented by Pakistan on behalf of the 57 Nation Organization of Islamic Cooperation or OIC, the group described the burning of the Quran in Stockholm as offensive, disgraceful, and a clear edge provocation. that incited hatred and constitute a human rights violence. The draft, which condemned the recurring acts of public burning of the Holy Quran in some European and other countries, has taken opposition from Western diplomats who argue it an to safeguard region symbol reflected human rights. We don't like the text on Western diplomats said of the draft, which will be presented to the Human Rights Council in Geneva on Tuesday. Human rights are supposed to be attached to individuals, not to religions. On the initiative also established tension between Western states and the Islamic organization at a time when the group has unprecedented vote in the council, the only body made up of governments to project human rights worldwide. 19 OIC countries are voting members of the 47-member council, and other states such as China have audited with their draft resolution. It remains to be seen whether Pakistan will succeed in rallying OIC countries behind it. A Saudi-led effort to end Yemen war crimes prevailed in 2021. If the resolution passes, as seems likely, it will strengthen the impression the Council is sweeping and the West is losing ground on key debates such as the boundary between free speech and hate speech, and whether religion have rights, said Mark Limu, director of the Geneva-based Universal Rights Group. The court make the Council exploit in acrimony. The European Union has urgent parties to reach a consensus on the issue. The formation of religion has been a difficult topic for decades within the UN, an EU diplomat said in negotiation last week. The question where to draw the line between freedom of expression and incitement to hatred is indeed a very complicated one.
Okay, I will read my newspaper blog. The title is "My That How Nearby on the Polish-German Border." Sebastian S. Again France, Press, Bresco, Beckenhard, Germany. Germany had decided to stop at war for several months after the toxic gave to impede the order of last August is meeting his cats. Senator 43, whose family has met is living from driver for our country, finally took his activities again in May. But fish of rapid are growing as global warming as the toxic mix of pollution putting the delicate ecosystem under pressure. It was unbelievable that we had fish left out of Senegal were left on the German bank of the rifle say of the poisoning. The Sharda wiped out more than half the fish in the rifle, with stress, long stress on the Polish-German border. And while the other has had some time to recover, the organism responsible for the disaster, no explanation perform, has not been educated. In our military, of other water, we still see several hundred cells, like Scientist Martin, was from the Lab Institute of Respiratory Ecology and Nutrition and Fisheries, or EGB, in Berlin. He once studied the risks of under the leaf bloom is high. It is just waiting for the right condition to explode. Polish and German authorities on either side, whose drivers say they are determined to stop that happening, but they do have the set of responsibility for disaster and the best way to keep the culture in check. Disaster wiped out more than half the fish in the river, with stress along stress of Polish German border. Among fishermen there is concerned over the impact of a possible storms. If it happens again this year, then there will be nothing to fish in the river for the next 5 years, they say. The event of Lasagos led to animated collapse in the rims and fish cells that put bread on the table, it says. We came down to battle and we saw all the dead fish to the both direction, he recalls scattering up and down the riverbank. Schneider and his family received financial support from the Benelux region, which bridges the gap left by disaster. There have never been fish deaths on this scale in order in my lifetime. Lee, 65-year-old, father Peter Schneider. Accumulation of high salt level in the river and an extended period of high temperatures created the perfect condition for the algae to follow this upstream. The question of excess salt has existed for a long time. It's now getting worse with climate change, say Punch. Among other factors, pressured water waste meant that biologicals are not being as still as before. Environmental groups have also pointed the finger and pain operation in Poland that tip mineral pressure water into the river. Now with the waiter will be up once again, increase in the number of the after the band recorded quarter of the other. Subsidiary but shines in response Warsaw has ordered affected areas to be sealed off, as well as promising water treatment plants and the creation of a rifle police. But the government Pets Association is not doing enough to avoid a gesture repeat. Scientists believe many fish that survived were found revoked in tributaries and corners of the other, while the deadly algae was less prevalent. Yet new met installation of the rifle would only increase the risk of disaster ahead of WWF Poland, the Solprop, IP. They changed the rifle into a strange workout and it's not the same thing, it explained. Likewise, despite the promise for South Olivo agreements for the dispensing of the silhouettes motor in the rifle, Berlin has criticised inaction on the police side. We see Dell and major efforts there to resize. Sebagai political management mystery set arrangement. Second, second in nobody interest, the spokesman said, but the sign are not got at the moment. For the time being, the precedent along the order will continue continuously. Whether the mistake that in 2, 3, 4 years, there will again be fish there involved. Say at the same level, Peter qualified another disaster can be avoided. Okay, that's my talk. Thank you.
Okay, to go to me again. UK botanists who helped revive Japan's seaweed industry, like Katie Foster from the Against France Press in Tokyo. Each year in southern Japan, dozens of people gather at the seafront shrine to honor a British botanist who never visited the country but is credited with revitalizing its crucial seaweed industry. Kathleen Drew Baker made groundbreaking discovery about the reproduction of nori seaweed, the crispy dried sheet that encircles sushi rolls, helping kickstart its farming on a commercial scale. Her studies at the University of Manchester allowed Japan to ramp up production in the difficult period after World War II, when small-scale growers were having trouble meeting demand. But she carried out her most influential work as an unpaid research fellow, having lost her academic post after marriage because of the university policy at the time against employing married women. Although Drew Baker died in 1957, her memory lives on in the city of Yuto in Kumamoto, one of Japan's largest nori growing regions. Dozens of people from local fisheries, as well as scientists and history buffs, gather each April in the leafy grounds of her shrine by the ocean, where a stone plate displays an embossed metal plaque of the face. Large, large Japanese and British flags are raised at the event, where a Shinto priest gives thanks to Drew Baker. Organizer Fumiichi Yamamoto, 86 years old, told AFP. Seaweed producers were happy and grateful for the ability to grow more nori seaweed in the aftermath of the war, when people were struggling with food shortage, he said. The crop has been harvested from Japan's coastline for centuries and farmed for 500 years. Apart from its use in sushi, it is also a key ingredient in onigiri rice balls, a staple snack food in Japan, and is used to garnish bowls of ramen and other classic dishes. But the seaweed is notoriously fragile and easily wiped out by typhoon and pollution. In 1949, Drew Baker published a landmark study in the scientific journal Nature about laver, another name for nori. The crop grows on the coast of Wales and is used to produce a traditional dish called liver bread. Up until that point, the life cycle of nori wasn't well known, Yamamoto said. The research gave new insights into how the plant bores into sheet cells where it is produced in form. Drew Baker made contact with a professor at Kyushu University and sent over an academic paper to him with a question. Is it Japanese seaweed like this too? He said. Japanese scientists and nori farmers then began experimenting with using oyster shells to help marine plants thrive. It was a success, said Yamamoto, the son of a seaweed wholesaler who has run the memorial event for 50 years. Now, nori is one of the essential foods of Japan.
UN report UN report set to cross over for unburning mission. Reuters of Geneva, Switzerland, the Human Rights Council is set to debate a contentious draft proposal on the region 100 in the wake of a poor unburning in Sweden. In an initiative that has highlighted risks in the United Nations body and challenges artists in human rights protection. In a draft resolution presented by Pakistan on behalf of the 57 Nation Organization of Islamic Cooperation or OIC, the group described the burning of the Quran in Stockholm last month as offensive, disgraceful, and a clear-edged provocation that incites hatred and constitutes a human rights violation. The draft which condemned recurring acts of public burning of the Holy Quran in some European and other countries has targeted opposition from Western diplomats who urged it to safeguard religious symbol respect to human rights. With unlike the text, one Western diplomat said of the draft, which will be presented to the Human Rights Council in Geneva on Tuesday. Human rights are supposed to be attached to individuals, not to religions. The OIC initiative also struck a tension between Western states and the Islamic organization at a time when the group has unprecedented scope in the Council, the only body made up of governments to protect human rights worldwide. 19 OIC countries are voting members of the 47-member Council, and other states such as China have aligned with their draft resolution. It remains to be seen whether Pakistan will succeed in rallying all OIC countries behind it. A Saudi-led effort to end the Yemen war dreams prevailed in 2021. If the resolution passes as seems likely, it will strengthen the impression the Council is flipping and the West is losing ground on key debates such as the boundary between free speech and hate speech, and whether religion have rights, said Mark Limon, director of the Geneva-based Universal Rights Group. This could make the Council explode in acrimony. The European Union has urged parties to reach a consensus on the issue. The reformation of religion has been a difficult topic for decades within the UN and EU diplomats said in negotiation last week. The question where to draw the line between freedom of expression and incitement to hatred is in that a very complicated one. Thank you.
Okay, I will read newspaper blog again. The title is Matchbisted however on the Polish German border. Sebastian S. again French press of the scope within hard Germany. German had decided that stopped for several months of the toxic Gablum hit down the levelized gas to cementing its gates. Senadel 43 was from the headsman escaping from the rival of our country. Then it took with activists again in May. But peace of our people are growing as overwhelming as the toxic mix of pollution putting the delicate ecosystem under pressure. It was unbelievable that we had fish left out of Trinidad wildlife on the Caribbean bank of the river side of the poisoning. The disaster with one more than half the fish in the river, which lies along trails of the Polish-Yemen border. And while the other has had some time to recover, the organization responsible for the disaster, recognized chamber of whom has not been eradicated. In the military of other battle, we still see several tended cells in this mountain bunch from the Leibniz Institute of Ecology and in the fisheries of RGB in Berlin. The ones that the risk of the deadly bloom is high, they choose waiting for the right condition to explode. Police and German authorities on either side of the level say they are determined to stop that happening, but they do have clear responsibility for disaster and the best way to keep the LJ in check. Object 2 of the collapse, the disaster without more than half the fish in the river, which lasts for long trace the LJ in check. And while the order has some time to recover, the organization responsible for disaster recognized as explanation but whom has not been eradicated. The military of other battle still sees abandoned cells. The one that the risk of another deadly bloom is high. But to have class of responsibility for the disaster and the best way to keep the LJ in check. Among fishermen there in concern of the impact of possible response, if it happens again this year, then there will be nothing to fish in the life for the next 12 years, they say. The event of plastic gas that are under the collapse in tow rims and fish cells that put in the table, he say. We came down the water and we saw all the dead fish in the both direction, with the cold scattering up and down the river bank. Sa handalahan, fish family sa ipot financial support for the better barbecue and the bridge to get left by disaster. There have never been fish deaths on the scale the order in my lifetime, and 65 years old for the better shiny though. Around the event of lecture level, the rifle and extended period of high temperatures created a perfect condition to delegate the bodies upstream. The question of excess salted eggs has existed for a long time is now getting worse with climate change, say Bunch. Among other factors, cultural water waste meant that dangerous acres are not paying as good as before. Criminal groups have also pointed the finger at mining operation in Poland that even manufactured water into the rifle. Now, with the water warming of one skin, increasing the number of algae half the dependent on the father of the other. Obviously, but science in response also has already have affected areas to be shut off, as well as from more water treatment plants and the creation of bodies. But the government faced such situation in a doing enough to avoid a disaster outbreak. Scientists believe many fish that suffer from the fogs in tributaries and corners of the other well that the algae was less prevalent. Yet human-made installation on the level would only increase the risk of disaster ahead of the F1 solo probe told IFB. They change the level into a transport road and it's not the same thing, he explained. Likewise, this bed always from the south to be few limits for the dispensing of industrial waste water on the driver. Berlin has created inaction on the police side. We see that on a major levels the research or sharp teachers, spokesman for the well improvement ministry said earlier this month. Second, catalogs in about interest, the specimen set with the signs on the code at the moment. For the time being, the fishermen along the order will continue continuously. We're optimistic in that in 2, 3, 4 years, there will again be fish there in Pong. Say other say neither better, provide another that disaster can be avoided. That is my reading newspaper blog. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Yariko. I will end today's session here. Thank you. Goodbye.